The last section now of customer service, which is looking at how ICT can be used to enhance customers' experiences. So very much the focus here is looking at the use of websites and e-commerce to access global and international markets as well. So it's kind of pushed into this section, but there are some specific examples of ICT and how they can help customer services. So just to recap here, e-commerce is the buying and selling of goods and services over the internet. So commerce meaning the word just for business, commerce just means business, and meaning internet, or electronic commerce really it's standing for. And some examples of how ICT has been used in recent years is the contactless payment, is making payment certainly a lot quicker and easier for people, and that could be said for Apple Pay or any of those other mobile phone paying devices. Self-checkouts, the jury's a little bit out on these, whether they actually enhance the experience or not, but they certainly have reduced the need for having as many staff on the tills, which bad for those people that were working on the tills, but for the business it's all about reducing their costs. And then we've got the growth of a lot of companies that exist online. So when I was younger, if we wanted a book, we were really very limited to the shops that we could find them in, and if that shop didn't have it, they might be able to order it for you. But to be honest, if I wanted a very specific book, I did have to make the journey to Manchester, whereas now that would just be really a bit unheard of, because you can order any book you want via Amazon, and pretty much now any product that you want, there's so many items out there that you can order via Amazon. So this was from another presentation. It was looking at place and the benefits of e-commerce in relation to place. So we said that the business can reach a wider audience. They may not need to have an expensive retail store or have to pay the wages of sales assistants, and you can access more suppliers as well and maybe get better deals or more of what the business wants with their specific requirements. And for customers, they can shop 24/7 whenever it's convenient for them, and that might increase their likelihood of purchasing, and they can reach a wider range, access a wider range of products as well. We seem to think that that's better. That's one of the keys for improving people's lives, although it can make it a little bit more confusing. So here are some of the problems. So yes, it is cheaper than having a retail store, but you're going to need different types of staff. So whereas before you might have had sales assistants, now you're going to have IT technicians, web designers, coders, people like that. So you might need fewer of them than you did do of sales assistants, but those more technical jobs tend to be paid more highly. The business also, although they can access a really wide range of customers, they may not be able to service all of those customers, looking at this point here. So I'm sure people all over the world can access websites for small businesses based in the UK, based maybe in the Northwest, but those businesses aren't going to necessarily be able to access them and get the products to them or the services to them, so it might not be completely relevant to those people. So although you can access lots of potential customers, most of them are going to remain just that, potential customers. They're not going to actually become your customers. And the business or businesses, they do need to respond really quickly these days. So I've just bought some flights online actually, and just before I got to the checkout it said click if you want to have a web chat with someone if there's something that you're not sure about. Now I could have been buying those, I wasn't, but I could have been buying those at 3 a.m, so they would have had to have someone available to help me make those purchases, or with any things that I didn't understand. And people these days, when they complain about something, when they send in an email, they expect a really quick response, a much quicker response than you'd expect if you'd have posted something off, because you're never completely sure if you post something when it's going to arrive, so you don't know if that shop has received it or not, whereas if you send an email you know that they've received it, and then you're kind of sat at home thinking, why have they not responded? And so they have to have short response times, or times to respond, for businesses to offer good customer service. Also, for a customer, the problems of e-commerce, they need to have computer access and internet access, which the majority of people in this country do have. But if you're looking at specific segments, my next door neighbour is in her 80s and she does not have a computer or internet access and has no desire really to have that. But she purchases lots of presents for people. She purchases clothing for herself, and she spends. She's got disposable income and she spends quite a bit of money on them. So she's a good consumer to aim a product at if you're selling those types of products, but you're not going to be able to access her or get to her via the internet. You also, the consumer, the shopping experience might be a little bit more difficult because you can't try out the item easily either on the computer screen. And if it's a very technical item as well that you don't fully understand, I'm thinking about maybe computers, I'm thinking about kitchen appliances. I was shopping recently for a tumble dryer, and although a tumble dryer is not very technical, it's not very complicated, I was still very reassured when I went to I think it was Comet PC World that I went to purchase it, because they could give me a lot more information. I had a very specific question I couldn't quite write down very easily, and I just thought, you know what, it's much easier to go there, see it, see how big it is, see where it'd fit in my laundry room and all those types of things, make it a lot easier. So the other section of this is the internet and international markets. So to be honest, it's a little bit of a rehash of these things here, but you just need to know the key points really, and this is why I taught this section with marketing with my students. But websites can reach millions of people, that's great, it's open 24/7 as well. You can respond to customers quite quickly, so although the emphasis is on you to respond quickly, you can respond quickly in terms of email. You can send them at all times of the day and you don't really need to worry about disturbing people, whereas if you ring someone up at 2 in the morning, they're not going to be very happy. And you can also access cheap supplies and reduce costs as well. So this is mainly focused on small businesses and how the internet has really helped them. However, there is a wait time for delivery. So if you're thinking about, one of the examples I used very early on in these presentations was a small sandwich shop. Now, they might put together a website. It might be good for contact information or for catering information, but in terms of their main market, which is catching people for the lunchtime trade, a website and reaching international markets is not going to be so applicable for them because it's really for a local market, and they're selling perishable goods as well, so they're not going to be sending those over to Germany or India or something like that. There are language and legal differences in different countries, so obviously language is quite straightforward, but you're going to have to adapt your website so that people can understand it if you're aiming at a certain market. And also legal differences. There are lots of countries in the world that don't sell or they prohibit the sale of items like alcohol or certain types of products. In America, I know Kinder Eggs are banned because it's like a mix between food and a toy in them. There's like choke hazards. But you've got to be aware of these if you're a business selling these products. There's also trust issues as well with people stealing internet passwords and viruses and all of these types of things, and you've got to make sure that customers trust you, because if they've never seen your business because they live somewhere else and they're giving you their card details, that's a lot of trust that they've placed in you, and they won't come back if you don't deliver those items as well. So you've got to create a website where people feel that it is legitimate and an honest operation.